Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, and anybody's new, welcome. My name is Debbie, I'm the Crafty Shopper. Today we are going to start upright, I guess it was kind of like a fish tank display sort of thing. I have another idea for another one, so hopefully I will be able to do another build with this one. We are going to use some frames from Dollar Tree, and we are going to use some tumbling tower, aka Jenga blocks from Dollar Tree. We're going to take out the backing, all this material. You can just recycle this, we won't need it. You're going to need 4 frames like this, and take out all the glass. Just be careful because it is very sharp. Then you're going to take your pliers and you're just going to pull out, there's 6, 7, 8 of these. Now that we have all of them out, now this frame, you can also use smaller frames. I just like the taller frames look of it. It's 15 inches by almost 8 inches wide. Now, as you notice, the one side's black and this is more gray. I am just going to use a spray by Rust-Oleum, just a flat spray, and give it a quick spray so it's black on the inside as well. And I'm going to do that for all 4 pieces. Now, once you have your 4 pieces all spray painted, you are going to glue the glass back in. But I am going to use some E6000, only because when you glue the E6000 it does dry clear. I found that one time when I used Wellbond, I only tried it once, that underneath still stayed white, and we want to make sure that we don't see it because the back part's going to be the inside where you're going to see, and this is going to be the outside, so we want to make sure that we can conceal the glass in. And you're just going to put a little bit all the way around. Don't put too much because you don't want it seeping out onto the front edges. All right, now that I have all 4 pieces done, you still do notice the glue. If you use Wellbond, you're going to see the white. I guess it's okay, but with the E6000, it is a lot more clearer on the side, but I still want to conceal the edge right in between the back part and the edge on the bottom. So I'm just going to paint some Mod Podge on, and I'm going to do to only 3 pieces. And you're just going to grab some Mod Podge, and you're just going to go along the edge. And even if it's a little bit messy and it goes over the edge line, it's just because when you're going to look at it from all different angles, you don't want to see the edge line of it. So then once we get all it painted around, and like I said, 3 pieces like this, I'm just going to pour some sand on it. So then it's going to conceal that all the way around on all 3 pieces. All right, for the 4th panel, we are going to grab, Dollar Tree has the 3 little sponges, crafter square. I'm gonna take some gloss Mod Podge. I got my little container, and I'm just gonna lightly dip all the way down just like this. I want to make kind of like a stained glass effect, and I'm gonna do the whole glass on the back just like that and dab it all the way around. All right, now that the 4th piece, you can see with my hand underneath that there's a bunch of little bubbles, and that's great, just for ending the ocean. And that's the back part of this build. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did to the other 3 pieces, and I'm just going to add some more sand just along the edges on the back. All right, while the frames are drying with the sand, we're going to work on the base of this fish tank. I'm going to call them fish tanks because we're putting stuff, kind of reminds me of fish tank, and we're using the black frames. So the base we are going to do, and we are going to use the tumbling tower game, aka Jenga blocks from Dollar Tree. You can find them in the toy section. Sometimes they are on the end cap of a Dollar Tree store. They come in the brown and the old packaging is blue. I'm not sure if they still sell the blue one, but you can also find them in the blue pack as well. These, a lot of people ask me what size these ones are, if it's the smaller, bigger ones. All I've ever known is them to have at my Dollar Tree just the one size. Gonna use Wellbond to glue the blocks together. I don't suggest using hot glue at all. It's not a long-term hold, and you can't seal the blocks properly, and usually you get little glue hairs that come in between. And using any kind of glue, I would suggest only wood glue. DT does sell wood glue, and my preference is just Wellbond. You can buy it at Rona/Lowe's. You can also buy it at Michael's or Amazon. I think Nikki said at Hobby Lobby they sell it as well. As long as you use wood glue, it will be fine. Now, and you can also order the blocks on dollartree.com website. Sometimes you can get it shipped to your local store for free. It just depends on what location you are in. So the base of the fish tank for this one will be 65 blocks. We are going to glue your blocks. There'll be 2, 3, 4, 5 like this. So you're gonna need a row of 5, just like that. You can use these carpenter square ruler from Dollar Tree. They're found in the hardware section. And it's always really good to use a square ruler just because it keeps everything nice and straight as you glue them. And you're gonna need a row like this, and you're gonna need 13. And I'm gonna show you what that's like because I already glued them together. Just be mindful of your gluing time on the bottle of glue that you use, just to make sure that they don't fall apart or shift. They can, and sometimes it takes them fully a good anywhere from, sometimes Wellbond glue from my experience can dry probably in 4 hours depending on what kind of build you're doing. But if you move them around, sometimes they do shift a bit, and they're not always fully square, the blocks, so just be mindful of that. You're gonna have 5 rows like I just showed you, and then you're gonna add the 13. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 rows just like that. Because this is the bottom base, I am not going to use Wellbond, or not Wellbond, spackle. I like to fill in the cracks with spackle sometime, but this is going to be the base and it's going to be totally covered. So the next thing I am going to do is I'm going to paint the base black. I don't have my Dollar Tree paint right here beside me. I'm just gonna paint it a regular black from Dollar Tree paint, and you can use any paint you want. You can change up the color, it's totally up to you. And I'm just gonna paint both sides all the way around black. All right, now that we have the 3 frames done, we're not gonna use the one that we did for the back of the tank right away. We're gonna start with these 2, and we're gonna do this other one last. We're gonna start with the very front of the tank. And the reason I have the L-shaped ruler is so we make sure that when we glue it, that it is even. And you're gonna take the one side. You can start on either side. We're gonna start on this side. You're gonna make sure it's nice and straight along the ruler. And you're just gonna glue the side of the front right along the side. Now, the way I'm gonna glue it, and I'm just gonna show you here, is I'm gonna put the glue along here when I glue it to the side, but I'm gonna use a little bit of Wellbond here and a little bit of Wellbond there. And in the middle, I'm gonna stick a thin layer of hot glue, and I'm gonna place it together, and I'm gonna let it dry, making sure that it's a nice L this way. And I'm gonna move it up. A nice L in the front here. When you do glue them, I'm going to show you sideways here. When you got the hot glue, just make sure and pinch it for a few seconds, because sometimes the little frame is indented right on the side just a little bit. And just for a nice seal. once I get those two glued together, we'll move on to the next side. All right, so now this side is glued, the front and this side. Now, when you are using two separate glues, whether it's E6000, Well Bond, any other glue with hot glue, make sure they don't touch each other. Otherwise, they're not gonna dry properly. So instead of starting on the left side, because the front and the back are on the inner side of the fish tank, we're gonna grab the back part now. And we're gonna do the exact same thing like we did in the front. And I'm just gonna switch around the ruler just to make sure that it glues straight, that it's on a proper angle. And I'm just gonna do the exact same process along that side to this one side of the fish tank. All right, now that we have the back, the front, and the one side, we're just gonna add the one side, the same process. We're gonna do both at the same time, and then it will just fit perfect to make a perfect square. All right, now that it's all glued together, we are gonna glue it on the base and the 5 across. We're gonna keep it facing forward. We're gonna flip it over and we're just gonna put some Well Bond, and you're gonna notice that there's just gonna be a little bit on, let me just zoom out a little bit. On the back part and the front part, there's just gonna be a little lip, and then there's a little bit bigger lip on either side. Just center it on the bottom board and glue it down. All right, on the inside, once it's nice and glued, I just stuck some extra Mod Podge with a paintbrush all the way around on the bottom and the corner, because I wanna put some sand in it and I wanna make sure that it doesn't come out any of the sides on the bottom. I just cut some floral form, and I cut it a little bit smaller, shorter on the sides and shorter in the front. And we're gonna hot glue that down. Now, before you do this step, I would suggest cleaning the inside with Windex just from your fingerprints and touching it. So just be careful not to touch the side with the sand. Once you have it glued down, I wanted to do some layering with some sand. So DT has the black and whatever color you want to do, then just the regular neutral color sand and white, and having the little sides shorter on the inside and in the front, you can do a little bit of layering. This is just also that we can poke some plants in there as well. So I'm going to get that glued and put a couple layers of sand in there. Now that we have this sand in there, on the back wall where we had put Mod Podge on the whole back, I'm going to use this, and this is just, it was the garden stake. If you heat it up with the lighter and pull it off and just try to, I don't want to say be gentle, but not that you rip this off, but just keep heating it up. It comes right off. I do have a little mark, but that's okay on it. I am just going to glue it, hot glue it right to the back wall near the top of the part of the tank. And the next thing that we are going to do, so we want some greenery. So this was just a bushel, one stem, one floral pick from Dollar Tree. I took all the little pieces off. Then you're just going to want to glue right on top of each other, and you can make the length that it's long enough just before gluing, just on your third piece after it's glued. Just when you put your fourth one on, just make sure that it's not higher than the actual tank. Now that I have it glued, I'm just going to stick it right in the back of one corner of the tank. And on the other side, I found this other, I didn't want to have all the same greenery. It's just another greenery from Dollar Tree that I'm going to stick on the back on the other side of the octopus and just stick it right in. That's why we have the foam underneath, so we don't put too much weight on the bottom, and it also gives us a place to stick the floral in. All right, now that we have that done, so I know I'm making like a fish tank. You could also swap it out for a terrarium. Maybe you want to make this for someone that likes snakes, and DT has those rubbery snakes. You can put some tree branches in there, wrap it around. You can make a fake lizard one, get fake lizard in there. There's a lot of different things. Even with a memorial box, you could keep something with pictures in there, flowers. I'm not going to put these in, and I'm going to show you these ones now, but I do have a little container of stuff that you can put in here, and I will show you after I'm done near the end of the video. I will show you a bunch of things, different ideas you can put in there. But since I use the octopus, DT also, these are just the same thing. The garden stakes, these are big, but they will also fit in the tank as well. I'm going to use the seahorses from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to use those just because I really love seahorses, and I just really want to try these ones in there. Now, Dollar Tree came out with these recently. I'm not sure if it's a candle holder, but then you put a candle here unless it's for one of those little square incense up top, or you put a candle on top and a little tea light in the bottom. I'm not really, it's not deep enough if you put a few drops of oil. I have no idea, and I took the sticker off already, so I'm not sure what they actually call them, but I really like the kind of wood finish, and kind of would remind me of something that you would have in a fish tank, that a fish would swim in there, etc. I'm just going to put one of the seahorses and I'm going to dig it right down into the foam. I am going to paint some on top around the base of one of the seahorses, just with some Mod Podge and some sand, and stick it there. I don't want to have them both on the same level, so this is where I had the idea of having this. Now with this on top, it's just going to kind of look silly if you just have it like that. So I'm just going to take some, my table is a disaster full of nautical stuff. Some reindeer moss, and I am just gonna glue some pieces all the way around, might go down on one side, and I am just gonna do a little bit on the bottom on the inside, because I'm gonna have this part facing the front of the tank. Now, I did just glue 2 half shells together, kind of similar in the other little box I did. And I'm just gonna put a little pearl, and I think some of these little diamond thingamajiggies here inside the shell. It just kind of moves too. And I'm just gonna place it in there, and I am gonna put a little bit of green, almost looking like moss on the side, kind of a little bit of a messy look. I can get those done, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, so the next couple things, I am just gonna stick, it was just the top of a plant. I'm just gonna stick that in one of the corners in the tank. And I have this little piece that I haven't used. I like the little bit of white in it, and I'm just gonna put that in there as well. Dollar Tree has these little grow 600 times the size of these toys. I want to use the turtle. I'm going to take the turtle out. They also have different ones like lobster, starfish, and stingray. There's another idea you could use. I want to incorporate one of the DT stars. DT has a little glass bottle similar to I did the last nautical craft. Just wrapping a piece of paper, adding a little bit of sand in it. And I do have a couple shells in here and corals from this little container, is just some of my favorite shells that I've gotten over time. And I'm just going to incorporate them along the bottom. Now, just recently, DT came out with this driftwood, and I don't have the packaging top on it. And I am going to stick a couple little pieces in there as well. And I'm going to stick a bunch of them in there, and then we're going to move to the top. And I did want to show you a couple other things as well that you can incorporate that I'm not going to use, but I thought I'd share. You could use these as coral. I'm just trying to find the piece. I had one here that was cut. You turn it upside down, stick it in the sand, and cut it on an angle. You could use these if you have any. Oh, there. If you have any of these in your craft stash. I have these little blow up swim tubes. They're like Barbie size. They're from Temu. You could use something like that, depending on what kind of design. Dollar Tree does come up with these little chairs if you want to have like a chair with a little table vibe to it. Also, DT has these little boxes here. You could paint it as a treasure box at the bottom of the ocean. I did one of my crafts, I think a year or two ago, that I used it, painted it, and put some coins in it. That's another thing you could use. Just wanted to give you some ideas. I had this little pail. It's from Temu, and Dollar Tree has these little scoops, and as you can see, the little tiny one will look cute with a little scoop inside the pail. Here's another one. Dollar Tree sells these sailboats. Wood ones would fit perfect in there. And I know I always show this one because it's my favorite one. It is just, I'm not going to incorporate it in this build. I did it on my last build, is just the fishnet. It's a lot smaller. DT's is very big. This is more like miniature size. Works great as well. As well as the, excuse me, the fairy garden. Now these are from last year from Dollar Tree. Is just, you know, a little cabin, beach house, little boats. I did get this in the mail that I ordered from Temu, and I'm not going to use it in this design. I don't know if I'm going to keep it for this year or next year if I decide to do another one, nautical design after this one. But I thought the chair was really sweet, and it's going to go in my bathroom because I already have nautical design in there. I just wanted to give you a couple different ideas. I'm going to show you one more thing that I have to reach across the table here. Dollar Tree does have these anchors as well, the bigger ones, and that's one thing that I just reminded myself. I am going to dig for one of the smaller anchors that I have, that I don't have right here, but I'm going to look, and I'm going to actually incorporate, oh, I'm just going to pull this out right here. They have the little fishes. These are from last year, but I'm sure they have them this year. I just haven't looked. The little wheels from Dollar Tree, they come in the little 3-pack with a couple each, with the mermaid and there's those ones. These came out this year that I haven't incorporated. It's just little from Dollar Tree woodcraft lighthouses that you could paint with the mushrooms as well. And I was just trying to find my anchor, which I can't seem to find, so it might be in another box. Dollar Tree has these little stars out too. I have more little bottles. You can put some bobbers. These are from Dollar Tree. So there's lots of different little things that you can put in there and totally make it your own design. So I'm going to get that done, and then we're going to move on to the top and get it lit up and show you what it looks like. Now we're going to work on the top of the fish tank terrarium. We're going to start with, we're going to do 3 layers on the top. So we're going to start with the bottom top layer, and we're going to do the exact same as the bottom. So we're going to do 5 across, and then we're going to go down and do 13 rows all the way down, just like the bottom. We're going to add another layer on top, and we are going to put it right here. I'm just trying to block so you guys can see the actual piece. That's why I'm not putting it on just yet. And we are going to do 4 rows, and there's going to be 10 rows of 4. I'm just going to put this in. And we're going to do one more, a 3rd layer. That's going to be the very top layer, and we're going to do 7 rows of 3. So you're going to go 7 down and 3 across. That equals 21. The second one was 40 and 65, just like the bottom one. Then you're going to glue it centered right on to make sure it's centered on both sides, front and back. And then you're going to glue the second piece, third piece on, second piece on to the, and you're going to make sure that one's centered, and then you're just going to use some Weld Bond, and you're just going to glue that all down. Now if you want more of a the look of a fish tank, you know, sometimes at the back of the fish tank that they have a little bump where the light is, and I thought about changing it up that we could put a light in there. The only problem is with raising it up in the back, you would only have the back part of the light, and we are going to add a light in a bit, and we're still going to add a couple more Jenga blocks onto this, but we're going to glue all those on first. But if you want to have a back part, you can just add thicker rows like that, or place them down that way just to make it look like, I think this would be a little bit better. making it look like there's a up part right before you lift the lid, if that makes sense. That's just another option too. And the simple option is just use one layer to put it on top. But we're not going to glue those on, and we're going to get to some other blocks to keep it in place. But let's get these 3 glued on, and then we'll add a few more blocks. All right, now that this is glued on top, we're going to add the extra blocks. You're going to just flip it over, and you're going to need 2 of these, 2 rows of 4 and 4 across. And you're going to want to glue them just over this line, just a little bit right center. Make sure it's center on both sides. And you want to make sure it's over this line just a little bit. And you're just going to glue the other one the exact same on the other side. So when you flip it over, it's actually the lip of this is going to sit on the inside of the tank, so it's not going to be able to shift. And the sides, you won't need none here because these will help it shift that way and that way. Once I get these glued on and it's totally dry, then I'm just going to paint the whole piece on the inside and the top part black. All right, now that it's painted, it's near the end of the day, so I want to put the finale on top. So you have the 3 tiers and the ones on the bottom. So what I want to do is use this candle holder that just recently is the first time I've ever seen them from Dollar Tree. I guess you put the candle in here, or you could even turn it upside down and put a tea light. I just thought it would make a nice finale for on top of it. I just used some flat paint just because the paint's flat that I'm using, and I spray painted it. And I'm just going to use some Well Bond, and I'm just going to glue it right on top. Now that we have it glued on, it's on there tight overnight, we are just going to flip it over. And we are going to grab one of these Dollar Tree. I used it in the last one too. These Dollar Tree lights. You just press the button like this. I'm just going to take that off and put some glue. I'm going to just use Well Bond. And you're just going to position it where you want. If you have it more in the back of the tank, it lights up a little bit more. I want it a little bit closer to the front of the tank that it illuminates both the seahorses. So I'm just going to glue that on there. And then it's just easier to screw on and off to change the batteries. All right, now that it's glued on, I'm just going to put some batteries in it, and you can just twist it on, and we're just going to place it right on top where it'll sit in, and it won't be able to move it around. I'm just going to change the camera so you can see the end result. All right, guys, here it is. I'm just going to get a little closer. So I found a couple of the little starfish that you can see, the little tiny one by the bottom of the seahorse. I found a couple of those in my stash. You can always see a better close-up. On YouTube, it's really hard to show you on the wide angle. I can't turn the camera upright because it's on a vertical or on the horizontal view for YouTube. But you're always more than welcome to check my Crafty Shopper page on Facebook or on Instagram. So it is a pretty big build. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are you guys going to make one? What season would you do in one if you were going to make one? Happy crafting. See you soon. Bye.